What's up, everybody? Doug Lane here, Fast Lane Car Care. Got this 2018 Ram. I'm gonna do the windshield on. I know a lot of people have problems with it, so I'm gonna show you how I do them. Fix this here. So you see, I've already got the film on there, and what I do, one thing that will give you trouble if you're new, you don't want your film overlapping this rubber edge. There's not a whole lot of border on these trucks, so that's one thing to keep in mind. And what most people have trouble with is either the top or the bottom corner. And you can already see a little bit of what I did right there. I just kind of split the finger. So I had one big finger and I split it into a smaller finger. Okay. Same way with the top. The top's usually regarded as a little bit more tricky. What most people do, I've noticed, is they want to shrink in the middle first because that's where it's easier. You get that feel good, you know, dopamine, whatever. You're like, oh yeah, I'm doing a good job. And then what happens is you're inevitably pushing more and more material out here where you're going to have a more difficult time trying to shrink it. You can only shrink the film so much before it creases. So let's just start at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is all I've done is put a line about halfway. I didn't get a ruler out or any of that. And it's not a wet line. I just dry shrink prep this with bar soap. Tack it. Boom. And what I also do is once I get everything pre-trimmed, I'll take the film, I'll put my hard card in the middle, and I'll lift the film up all the way to that hard card, and I'll stretch the film a little bit. Just kind of get rid of any extra material that might be on there from where you initially laid it on. Then I do the same thing on the other side. So let's get it started. This is a 50% windshield. See how I'm pushing that film down? It's not locked down, it's not anchored. I'm just kind of tacking it with my finger. Look at that, we shrank pretty much this whole corner in one go. This is a color stapled film. It's not a dyed, or it is dyed, I'm sorry. It's not ceramic or carbon, so it doesn't take a whole lot of heat to shrink it. See how we just did that? We just kind of, whoop. I don't know if you could see this kind of ripple right here. This is basically telling you where the film wants to go. Woo! No, we're working on a lifted truck when you're hitting the lights with the heat gun. Okay, so now we just did the corner. Now some people are going to say, oh no, you can't do that. Watch me. I just shrank the whole corner. Probably, what you say, about 4 or 5 inches, something like that. From the middle all the way down to the bottom. Another thing that people like to do is they want to, you know, heat it up a little bit and then just immediately swipe it down. Here's the thing. Oh, unplugged it. Piece of junk. Okay. So anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, they want to just go ahead and they want to just hit it with the heat and just slam it down because it looks cool, right? We're in a race. We want to be, you know, we all want to pretend like we're at the Tinter Battles 2024. But that's not the best way to do it when you're starting out. You want to build a relationship with the film. You want to be able to read it. And honestly, you can shrink an entire window without even having to put a squeegee on it until you're until you're done. Once you get some skills, you'll be able to, experience, you'll be able to read the film and you'll know when it shrank. So like, I'll just do this section right here. Now, you can get in trouble, you can over shrink it by doing this. Okay, but watch this. Okay, we just got a little bit of shrink left right there. Boom. Done. You can do the whole windshield like that if you want. Now, our border's right here, so we really don't have to worry about these little guys popping up. It's good practice if you want to shrink beyond where you need to, but just kind of one of those things, you don't really have to do it. Now on this top, I got quite a bit of extra film here. Just the way these windshields are built, and that's one of the reasons why it gives people so much trouble, but I'm going to essentially just do the same thing I already did. I already showed you. So we're going to heat that up. I hope the camera picks it up because this is a 50% film, so it's pretty light, and I got this super bright light right above it. So I'm hoping the camera lets you see what's going on pretty well, but you know, my apologies if not. So you could shrink this whole corner first like I'm doing, but you also need to be careful that you don't overheat the film and melt it. So like you put your hand on it, it's kind of warm but not too bad. See how this little squiggly guy is kind of going this way? He's telling you that he wants to go over here. Okay? And when you start pushing and you get to these points, don't keep pushing them down. You can work yourself, that's when you're going to get a crease, but you can work yourself into a corner, figuratively speaking. So heat this top up a little bit and work your way down. Okay? See how that worked? It's going to take some practice, some learning, but you'll get to the point where you'll be able to know exactly where the film wants to go, how to shrink it. Now I got this corner knocked out. Don't worry about these little guys on the side. Like if you really want to, you can lift it up a little bit, push it back down. Now see how we got more film to shrink? Repeat the process. Boom, boom. On these trucks, there's not a ton of extra border here, so sometimes you'll get little side fingers once you install it. Don't worry about them. You can heat them up when you're all said and done. Heat them up, push them out. So anyway, we got the corner done. Now we're going to come back to the middle, work our way out. It's really kind of tough to see this this light film, but I like to just kind of pre-shrink stuff, get stuff moving. See how we're starting to melt the film right there? Now if we would have melted this like on our line, we'd have been screwed, or worse, down in here. But since it's right here at the edge, I just went ahead and smoked it just so you could kind of see what that looks like. See if you get it. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it's definitely melted. And yeah, that's what you don't want. So if you're doing that on your film, you're having a problem with that, like in your work area or whatever, you're using too much heat. You can either turn your heat gun down, or you can hold it further away, or you can move faster. There's a lot of different methods to control your heat. Now, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but we're pretty much good to go. We got a little bit of shrinking right here. I like to just do as far as I can, because that's how I like to do it. Now we got to run over here to the other side. In a perfect world, I'd have a little minion on the other side. This extension cord, dude, is on its way out. I say that like I haven't been saying that for 2 years. I want to get a couple of hose reels or cord reels that drop down, but all the ones I've seen have like the 3-prong deals on them or whatever, and I just need, honestly, just one. So, pull this guy over here. Fire it back up. See, these front doors came out crispy. And same deal, you can start at the top if you want. We're tacking up a little bit right there, I don't know why. Just lift it up and let her float. That's what I was talking about right here. When I stretched it, apparently I stretched a little bit much. So, okay. Now if you're experienced, you know, you can work around this without having to trim it. You gotta be really careful where you're trimming because you don't have a whole lot of border. But if you're watching this, you're either new to tint in general or you're struggling with this particular windshield. So let's just give ourselves every opportunity to not fail. Now, for whatever reason, I prefer to do the bottom first. I don't know why, it's just the way I learned it. And you can see I'm kind of starting in the middle. I'm just getting some stuff moving. I'm gonna do the exact same thing I showed you over there. I'm gonna do the corner first. I don't know if I didn't get enough dry shrink prep over here or what. And guys, dry shrink prep, I just kind of use it as a universal term. It is a particular product. All it is bar soap in a bag. Get it if you want, but don't think you have to run out and buy it. A regular old bar of Irish Spring will work just fine, or pretty much any bar soap you want. I get the cheapest stuff you can. Because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. So I got most of my corner done where I want it. Okay, and we could just do the same thing we were doing, just kind of run the heat back and forth. Hopefully you can see it collapsing on itself. Right there, boom, good to go. This heat gun is supposed to last a lot longer because it's got the cool down mode on it. But dude, it is twice as heavy as the cheap one. So once it dies, I'm just going back to the cheap ones. I may try the Harbor Freight one. And I may also try the Milwaukee one. I've heard a lot of the corded one, not the cordless. Stay away from cordless heat guns. They don't really work that well. They are too hard on batteries and they don't get hot enough. Short people problems. I might try those, but the cheap Wagners, 20-30 bucks. They work really well. They're light. You don't think that a heat gun's weight really matters until you're outstretched in the middle of a ram windshield and your shoulder starts hurting. Must not have got enough soap up here, because it's wanting to stick, and I know it's not dry, or it's not wet. See, I just split that into like 3 smaller fingers. Now, I don't really like this because something's going on here. It's either not enough soap or something. And if I keep shrinking it and pushing, eventually I'm going to crease it, and I don't want to do that. So what we will do, go ahead, pull this back a little bit. Now we do have a couple options. We could just let this dry, like leave it curled up like that and let it dry, but I don't have time for that. I wanted to have this truck done by 11 and it's just not going to happen, but that's part of YouTube. Making videos always takes longer. So, just going to kind of get it kind of sort of where we had it. And just hit her with the old wet shrink. Now with wet shrinking, some people find it easier. Some people find it more difficult. Some people say it's more aggressive form of shrinking. My thing is, it just takes more heat. So you just gotta be a little more patient with it. It could also be, I don't wet shrink very often. Really only in like situations like this where I've done goofed up somehow. Or like say windshield strips. If you're doing a windshield strip on some cars like these trucks, because they have so much curve, if you're doing a big one, you're going to need to shrink it some in most cases. And I'm not messing around with DSP and all that stuff. I'll just, you know, wet it down where I can put it where, so I can put it where I want it, and then I'll just shrink it out like that, and no big deal. I don't really shrink whole windows wet, I should say. It's just not my preference, but as you can see, the results are the same. We got her shrank down. That's how you do it, guys. That's my tricks. That's my tips. Just go ahead and do your corners first, and then if you have any doubts, you can always lift it up a little bit, get this edge, put it back down, shrink it again.